2022 Hot 6 GSL Super Tournament Season 2.
Yo, welcome back, everyone. GSL Super Tournament. Super Tournament returns. It's been really one-sided so far today.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess with these matchups, you can't be that shocked. I think that we're past the point of the other games being like that, though. I think Creator and Solar, this should be close. We were chatting a little bit about this on the break. I mean, Creator, you know, if he's on, he looks very good. The question is, how's he going to do today?
Yeah, it's really what Creator is going to show up here at GSL, because we've seen from him in the past. I mean, he has what it takes to go to a championship easily. This guy is absolutely phenomenal. He's having the best year of his career so far, but he is really shaky sometimes. I mean, we all know that he's kind of an emotional player, and if he kind of gets inside his own head in the series, it could go very bad for him. I know that he got 3-0'd by Solar at DreamHack Atlanta, which was, what, like a week or two ago, very recently. But, you know, I feel like we didn't really get to see his full stuff there in that best of 5. So I'm interested in seeing what he brings to the table here because, I mean, Creator is a guy that we know that anytime he enters like a Super Tournament or a GSL Code S season, he's definitely has the potential to go top 8, top 4.
I mean, this would be an incredible redemption arc for him. If he was able to win this Super Tournament and come out and kind of close this year out, defeating that final demon, which I guess ultimately is himself and his history. He got to a GSL Code S Finals this year, almost going all the way. That would be really something. But, you know, today we're going to really test and see where he's at. You know, he didn't have the performance that I think he wanted in Atlanta. But, you know, Solar, he's a tough guy to go against.
Yeah, and he had a fantastic tournament there at DreamHack Atlanta as well. I mean, he only got top 8, but he almost beat Maru to get to the top 4. It was a 3-2 series, so he's been playing really well, not just in ZVP, but also in his other matchups. And, I mean, this is kind of nice because Solar is kind of another one of those Zergs that when he's on, he's really hot. And it feels like kind of if he was able to ride that momentum from DreamHack Atlanta, we might see some more games from him that surprise people.
I'm excited for this one. I do want to say I think Solar's slightly favored. I know some people might think I'm crazy for saying that with how well Creators looked in the past. But I want to watch each of these games. I want to really get a barometer on where Creator's at emotionally. And by the way, it's okay to be an emotional player. The question is, can you master those emotions? Can you use them and harness that kind of energy to propel you forward to win, or is it going to hold you back? That's the big question. We're going to start this out on the map inside and out. Creator, as you said, State, having the best performance of his entire career since year 1 of the GSL, and hoping to actually raise the trophy and hold it up. This is the last GSL tournament of the year before we go into 2023 with more StarCraft 2. So let's see how he does, and maybe this will be his tournament to take.
Game start. Protoss, Creator. Zerg, Solar.
So for me, what I'm most interested in this series is what kind of builds Creator kind of brings to the table here, because it's always tough when it's always tough when you kind of play one of those weekend tournaments where you have to absolutely grind games all day, and you show all of your builds, and like PBZ, for example, and even playing Solar in 3 games. And generally in matchups like this, the more that the players play against each other, the more it's going to favor the Zerg, right? Because they're kind of downloading their opponent's strategies into their brain. They're kind of decoding what the variables are that they need to be concerned about. And for me, that's a little bit concerning for Creator, just because he also got 3-0'd by Solar there at DreamHack Atlanta. And as you see right there, I mean, the match history as well, Solar kind of has his number just a little bit. I'm right there with you. I kind of want to give the edge to Solar here, but Creator, I think if he's able to mix things up just a bit and perhaps come away with some new strategies, some new build orders that maybe Solar doesn't expect, we could see him walking away with this one.
Yeah, my biggest concern is the period of time between when these guys last fought, right? I do feel like you need a little bit of time to cook up and stew up some new styles and strategies. And you know, if Solar so promptly shut down Creator before, how is Creator going to come into this? And I do think there is a little bit of a burden on the Protoss to just have a variety of builds. You know, you have to have this kind of rotation and element of surprise. And one thing about Solar is he's very, very adaptive. So game one going to be super important here.
Yep, Creator, for now, just going for a gate expand. Gets a lot of scouting information with his first probe, as well as forces Solar to take that forward expansion. And Solar going for kind of fast circling speed here, but not too much of a surprise. As both players just smack growing up, and Creator actually going for the robotics facility. Okay.
Yeah, the robo's there, so we're getting the first, you know, the foundation of the builds are going to be laid out in a little bit. But definitely some kind of a robotech, most likely going to be some kind of a War Prism coming out here. We have seen some plays with disruptors, you know, a War Prism right into disruptor and a little bit of a push, and try to see if you can kind of finesse out damage. I don't know if that's what this is going to be, but we should watch for that.
Yeah, we'll see what Creator decides to do with this. I am a little bit surprised that he's opting for this as opposed to going for, you know, a Stargate or for a Twilight Council and some additional gateways.
Yeah,
and
that would be the more normal approach, right?
Oh, you hit the nail on the head, I think.
I think I got it. I think it's going to be this disruptor play. Because if you get the robo that fast, I don't know what else you'd want to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not adding any other infrastructure, it kind of has to be this, right? So second gateway now going down, as we'll likely see a disruptor. I mean, he could also go really old school and do a Colossus drop. I remember when that was like all the rage, like what, 5 years ago?
Oh, man. Just one Colossus inside the Warp Prism flying around.
I mean, kind of looking at the way the minerals and the gas are lining up makes me think that might be what it is. We'll have to see what he decides to go for.
Doesn't the Warp Prism, it doesn't actually pick him up, it turns him into data?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't know, like, I haven't like read the lore, but that's what the graphics tell me.
That sounds scary. What do you mean, like you're dead? Did they remake another one of you?
It's like
the Star Trek thing? I just added to them? I'm like, no, that's what Facebook thinks of me. Like,
selling it to advertisers.
I mean,
it is a scary proposition, yeah. I remember when I was a kid, I thought about this so much as it was like going to be a problem in my life. But I was like, I won't let them teleport me anywhere because I don't want to die.
I will not be beamed up, Scotty.
It'll be a copy of me. It won't be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the rush is going to be coming out in a little bit here. Gravatic Drive is almost done. And that's going to give a lot more micro potential here.
Oh, Soccer doesn't spot the overboard right away.
Yeah, it was kind of in between the patrolling pattern here.
Well, a lot of gateways going down as well. Creator now going up to 5 gateways.
Does he actually see the robo, though?
I think he's going to be able to see the robo. I'm not.
No,
he actually doesn't. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
never
okay.
mind.
Well, he sees the Warp Prism.
Right.
Yeah. It's just like doing the caster thing where it's like, oh, does he know? Yeah. Sees the Warp Prism. Sees the Adepts. Does get this round. Will he be able to kill them before the Shade? No. Barely able to pop off. And the first disruptor shot coming in gets 3 drones. Not too shabby. And oftentimes we see these disruptor shots go off and you'll like damage a queen, maybe get 1 drone. So you're happy about this. And man, Colossus in 7 gateways total.
So he's going to try to do as much damage as possible while keeping the Warp Prism alive. By the way, that is the most important unit right now. Even more so than the disruptor is the Warp Prism, because behind this is going to have a Colossus, a bunch of ground units. You see Sentry, Stalkers, Adepts. And he needs to then merge this all together into a push. So any bit of damage he can do, again, as long as he doesn't lose a Warp Prism.
Truck comes in. Not able to find too much damage there with that shot. But Solar feels like he might have a good read on exactly what's going on. There's no third base yet for Protoss. He knows this. He sees the Colossus now, and he's sitting at 52 drones. So he's going to have a very large army. Creator's going to have to navigate this very well.
A probe, right? But he should be done making probes. I don't think you want to take a third base with this. Maybe if you start to lose the fight, but this is really your moment. He comes out once more.
2 more drones.
Half health, gets away.
So in total, I think that might be 7 drones that Creator's been able to pick off over the course of this harassment, which is a fair amount. Definitely better than nothing as we see him now moving across the map. He does have an observer here with this army. We will be able to begin chipping away at this creep spread. Warp Prism going really wide around the map. Huh. Is he trying to fake him out? I'm not really sure what the play is here. Because he's warping back in at base.
Yeah, I'm actually confused.
In his main.
Personally, I
think this is a little bit of a fake. He's just trying to hit critical mass.
Oh, so this is like big galaxy brain stuff. He's got 2 Immortals back here.
Yeah.
He's sat in the middle of the map. He is going to do a very delayed all-in. I think he wants the Zerg to re-drone again, I think
that's exactly what it is. He wants one big round of drones, so he's trying to fake it off. And, wow, actually gets a queen there and a transfuse. 2 transfuses in total popping off, so it's very good for him. And I mean, with disruptors, you kind of want the Zerg army to be pretty big too, right? Because once the numbers get big, it's hard to dodge the shots effectively.
That's actually a really good point.
And on top of that, his sentries are going to be very close to max energy as well. So there is a little bit of advantage here in terms of army scaling for Creator, but Solar's economy is better, so he will have more stuff. This is all going to come down to micro here.
Okay, he's just going to start the push now.
That's a lot of Protoss.
I've never quite casted a game like this.
Yeah.
I have never quite seen this, but I get it.
I kind of like him waiting for critical mass here. I mean, that's a lot of Roaches and Ravagers. If he's able to get good force fields, good disruptor shots, he can just turn this game on his head, as we now see Creator beginning to push forward just a bit.
Lane counterattack, but the entrance is plugged up.
That's such a big army. All right, first force field coming down. Disruptor shot does get 1 Ravager. Creator playing this very slowly here.
Yeah, now remember, it's not a lot of area to try to move through. He really needs to get these rocks torn down, honestly. That should give him a little bit more room to try to navigate this.
Creator still with a ton of force fields in the bag.
It connects on one of those sentries here. Immortal's way in the back. The Disruptor's on the side here, ready to fire some shots out.
Oh, great force fields. Gonna get 2 Disruptors. Oh, that Disruptor hit! Huge! Solar's army just suddenly dropping is now Creator with a 20 army supply lead.
And look at the clutch hold positions. He knows exactly when to back up, hold position, warp in, do whatever he needs to do.
This army is massive. Link Flake now coming in. Disruptor shot goes in again, gets 2 more Ravagers as well as a Roach.
Oh my God. I think he's won the game.
What a phenomenal push here from Creator. Just hitting critical mass here, and Solar is no answer for it. GG.
Dude.
Wow, that was awesome.
That was crazy.
What a cool build.
I've never casted anything quite like that.
I love that. I love that from Creator.
It looked like the build that I was mentioning where it's like really quick disruptors into a push, and it's like, oh, okay, he wants to get a Colossus, and then he comes out, he doesn't move. He makes 2 more Immortals in the back. So, you know, there's a lot more Roaches that are made in that mix as well here, because you think you're worried about Colossus, right? Normally you kind of hard commit onto one of these Robotechs. He got all of them. I think the only 1 probe he made was when he got scouted. I think that's what I got confused about earlier.
He had full 2-base saturation,
yeah,
but he sent a probe to the 3rd base to fake that he was going to take a 3rd. Okay. So he made 1 more probe to once again fully saturate the natural.
Damn, dude. Sick game. Creator already with a 1-0 lead. Can he keep it going? Can he get his revenge from DreamHack Atlanta? That's the question.
Oh, that was a great game, man. I'm like smiling real wide right now.
I love seeing stuff like that. All right, Tropical Sacrifice for map 2. And that's loading up right now, guys. The best of 5 with Creator versus Solar continues on here at the GSL SuperTournament.
Game start. Protoss, Creator. Zerg, Solar.
God, I live for games like that, Tasteless.
It's crazy.
So
I don't even know
fun.
how well that can be copied, because that is such a technical approach. That like is made for taking down a top 8 in the world player. Is what that is.
I mean, Creator just played it so smart too. He sharked around with his army just a little bit in the early game, where he knew that he couldn't kind of get run over by the Zerg because Zerg wasn't, you know, full power yet. They couldn't take him on off creep. And so there's a little bit of a dance there where he's trying to keep Solar on a low drone count for a long time, and then he postures as if he's going to attack to kind of keep Solar on that low eco, right? And then he backs off, and he wants to wait for Solar to make a round of drones, and then he goes. But, I mean, even if Solar had a really good idea of what Creator was doing, it's exactly what we talked about at that game, where yes, Solar does have the better economy. Yes, he's on 3 base to 2 bases. His production is better. But Creator, his sentries, he had a lot of sentries. They all got close to max energy by the time that push hit.
Yeah.
And Solar, what units is he going to make? He can't go up to Vipers. He can't go up to high-tech units. He has to make a lot of Roaches and Ravagers. And once you get a really high number of those units, suddenly force fields become better and disruptor shots become way more effective. It's so hard, even on creep, to split an enormous army against disruptor shots. As we saw in that game, I mean, it felt like 2 or 3 shots in a row from Creator got huge damage in. I mean, even like the quote-unquote misses, like the underperforming shots, we're getting like 2 Ravagers and a Roach, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Roaches and Ravagers are good up to a point, and then you really like need to kind of get rid of them and go into the higher tech stuff. And so to kind of bait him into continuing to make that when you're already actually countering it, genius.
I feel like the only way Solar could have won that game in that position is if he set up like a huge wraparound flank, because he has to minimize the damage from the disruptors and the force fields.
And he did a flank later, but it was with the Lings.
Right.
And that's really not how you want to do it anyways. Oh, State. We've
Robo
got the
again.
Robo again. Now, I know we're only in game 2, but I do want to point out, like, sometimes the best build, a set of builds to have at a best of 5 or best of 7 is where they all start out looking the same, and then they're all just different versions of it. Like I do not imagine he will fly around with disruptors, make a Colossus, sit in the map, and then make Immortals and Sentries and push. Like, I don't think that's what's coming. But maybe this time he flies around with disruptors and then just pushes with the Colossus and the Stalkers. Maybe, I don't know.
Or maybe it takes a faster third base.
Or expands right away.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to play it. Up until this point, it's pretty much an identical build. The second gateway is just now going to go down. 1 Adept, 1 Stalker, 2 gases. It all looks the same.
So we wait for now. Unless, of course, Solar elects to do something pretty dramatic. This is really a game in the Protos's hands. And, of course, the question we got to ask Solar is, can you figure out what it is? One thing about the last game was that Creator put out so much false information that it's the better you are at reading stuff. But like, there's so many red herrings in this. It's like a Sherlock Holmes. Holmes build. Or
I get what you're saying. I mean, there's a couple of things to say about that. So I don't know if you have this experience when you're like playing Brood War on the ladder, but for me, like, back when I used to play StarCraft 2 full-time and now when I play Age of Empires, I often find that if I play someone that's like, their rating is significantly lower than mine, I will play way worse because I can't get a good read on what they're doing. And the tempo of the game is just gone. And it's kind of like, you kind of get in your own head a little bit and you're throwing off your game.
Yeah, you're expecting certain types of plays, and there might be like a meta or a way of approaching the game at a lower level or something this player hasn't learned that you should be able to play better against. That's why, like, if you're really the best of the best, you kind of could stop everything, but you have such a deep breadth of knowledge about all these situations. But no, 100% I've experienced that, where I'm playing against somebody who's worse, and I'm like, what is he doing? And then I don't know how to prepare for it.
Yeah, so this is like the pro gamer equivalent of that, where you have the same feeling, but your opponent's really good.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's a daunting prospect. And yeah, Creator just, as you said, he put out so much false information.
Dude, double Stargate.
Yeah, look at this. Oh man, I'm loving what we're seeing out of Creator today. This is so cool. And up until this point, I mean, even including this point, Solar, this looks identical to the previous game. He doesn't know these double Stargates going down. His Overlords have gotten cleaned up. I see on the minimap now he does have one going into the natural expansion. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get vision for the Stargates.
Insane. What?
Nice pick.
I felt like that was about to completely backfire and he was going to lose both of them in the Warp Prism.
I felt totally confident, man. I know how good Warp Prisms are.
So is it 2? Okay, it's Phoenixes.
Yeah. Oh, man, that makes killing 2 queens so much better, too. That's actually sick.
You're totally right. It makes perfect sense.
Wow.
And he takes the third base.
Creator is so good. Oh, there's a Spire coming down from Solar as well.
Oh, my God. I think
this is...
Right now, guys, this looks really bad for Solar.
Yeah. I mean, if it is Phoenixes... Oh, he's going to lose another queen. Wow, I want to get a queen count check right now because the production tab, I'm seeing no more queens in production. Right now, Solar is making resources. If he goes for Mutas, I feel like it's just straight up GG. And I don't think he knows that it's Stargate.
To be honest, I was trying to think of all the different things you could do after the War Prism. It did not even occur to me to go double Stargate. That was like not even in my mind. You could see like Solar's kind of I think still using the information he had from the last game to try to enhance his decision making here for this game.
And he's only down to 5 queens now. He hasn't reproduced any of them, taking a 4th base, and now the Overseer is going to come in, and this is a critical time to get the scouting information too, because that Spire is just about to pop. I mean, imagine if he were to make a bunch of like Mutalisks because he played blind.
If he had done it 10 seconds later, that's what we would be seeing here.
That could have been disastrous, but now Solar has kind of a complete picture of what's going on. He is still caught off guard, but at least now he can kind of formulate a response, and it will be 8 Corruptors.
But the Corruptors kind of create a funny dilemma as well here because they don't have much use unless they're actually just able to fight.
Yeah, it's really... It shuts down the Protoss tech, but it doesn't do much more than that. You're not really getting additional value. You're just kind of mitigating whatever the Protoss has.
And look, I mean, there's a Twilight Council coming here now, so he's probably just going to get a bunch of Stalkers to cover the Phoenixes.
Yeah, and he's cut Phoenix production, so he's kind of content with what he got. And I want to get 6 Phoenixes. Yeah, that's not a lot versus 8 Corruptors. So, man, I'm really liking this out of Creator. Solar had a bigger investment in the air than Creator did, I think. I mean, that's a lot of Corruptors. He's making another one. He still doesn't know how much Creator is committing onto the air, but Creator's already transitioned onto ground. He's getting a Templar Archives. He's getting Charge.
You don't normally see people get out-teched like this. And look at this. The moment he sees the Corruptors come across the map, he comes in. He's still got a recall in his pocket, so he can always bring him back home. Meanwhile, this Disruptor is going to come in here again. Oh, is this a little bit too far? A little bit too crazy?
That one Roach running for its life. I feel like the Disruptor, I mean, he's going to recall and save it because there's no point just, throwing it away, but it doesn't add too much value to the army that Creator is building right now. It's mostly going to be, the Zealots, the Archons, all these gateways, because Solar, he's not going to have a lot of Roach Ravagers to deal with this. I feel like it's mostly going to be Ling, Baneling, some number of Ravagers, and these Corruptors. And we'll see what Solar's able to get done. I mean, he does have the eco advantage right now, and his army supply is significantly higher, but again, I feel like he kind of did get tricked just a bit there. I mean, the response was a little bit disproportionate to the Phoenixes, but not so much that it's, game ending.
No. But, I mean, what an uncomfortable journey this has been for Solar here. And by the way, I'm going to call it right now. I think in Game 3 we're going to have a Robo opening again.
Yeah?
With Disruptors. I think it's going to happen once more. If not, so be it. But, I mean, this is becoming pretty exciting. Zerg's maxed out now. Although it's kind of an odd comp, right?
Yeah.
Some of this is Corruptors too. The funny thing with Corruptors is they're also kind of hard to trade out. If you don't want to, unless you want to just let them die.
Yeah, I feel like
the Phoenixes don't have to fight them.
Yeah, you want to kill the Phoenixes and then you want to trade them out for like a Nexus or something. But this army for Solar, although it's a little bit unusual, it's quite scary. Oh my god, that Ravager! Oh my god!
What?
Those were insane shots!
That was so sick. I actually didn't even see the second one after the first. That's crazy. He's going to warp it again. Coming down now.
This game turning on its head with 2 Disruptor shots. The Sword just gets caught completely unprepared. And Creator pouncing on the opportunity. He's not going to give Solar any breathing room right now. Just pushing across the map instantly with all these Archons. The Disruptor is now getting recharged. Going on the Banelings yet again. Only gets one morphing in. This is a very scary position here for Solar.
They're going to come in further now. And the force field's so good. The force field is so good. The Archon's going to get isolated and killed off in the corner.
That's 3 max damage Disruptor shots in the past minute and a half.
Corruptor's finally going to get their value now.
They're going to try and take down this Nexus. They might actually get it, but I mean, the real story right here is this army.
Oh!
Again! That's so much damage coming down.
All the Banes.
I mean, Solar hasn't really been able to replenish his Baneling count this entire time, and he's lost so many Lings, so many Ravagers to these Disruptors. Another shot coming in. Does get dodged there by Solar as he's starting to get a little bit of ground made here. He might be able to defend, but man, Creator's been getting so much value out of this army.
Well, the problem is that Creator's not quite able to get in and do the damage, right? Like, he's been held at bay.
It does feel like that. I mean, he's been getting the most insane trades with these Disruptors, but his economy is just so much behind Solar's that it feels like his army really hasn't gotten stronger in the past minute or two. It's been about the same size, whereas Solar, yeah, he's losing a lot, but he's also remaxing very quickly.
Well, that was some pretty good exchange there for Creator. He's going to keep pushing up now. A lot more Banes are going to finish up here. The Archon wall still, well, the SG does get wiped out over there. And it does seem like Creator's army is beginning to thin out, is becoming a little bit less complex. But he's actually breached the position. So now he can try to close in. There are no disruptors in this mix. Yeah, so these Banes are going to finish. It's going to be a lot of damage coming out here.
Yeah, and this warp incoming from the Warp Prism is quite small, so these Banelings and Ravagers might be able to clean up this army here for Creator as Solar is fighting back. I mean, he's had some really unfavorable trades, but these Corruptors actually getting so much value.
And suddenly it's like the Corruptors are the MVP units of this game.
Wow.
What he was forced into making is actually going to be the fall of Creator.
Wow, what a game.
1-1.
I mean, there's just so much to unpack there. That was...
I can't believe that that is actually... You know, ultimately the winning move was like these Corruptors that, you know, seem to be, you know, the thorn in the paw of Solar now were the actual key unit that allowed him to close that out.
There were like 2 minutes where Creator got 3 or 4 disruptor shots that pretty much had like a unit in the full AoE, which is insane value. And Creator just continues to push on that, but Solar's economy was so strong, he had so many bases that it's like, yeah, he's losing these units, but his army, like, he's able to replenish everything he loses.
Yeah.
And the Corruptors back at home, denying the 4th base and then getting the natural expansion there for Creator. I mean, Creator just never really was able to add in these critical units to his army. I mean, it felt like he had a very small window after those disruptor hits where he was able to maybe get some damage done. But Solar's economy just on another level there. I mean, that was an incredible game from start to finish.
Creator's blowing me away strategically, but that strategy did kind of backfired on him, to be honest. We're going to go to Cosmic Sapphire now for map number 3 here. And again, by the way, not a 3-0 anymore. Finally, we have a real back and forth here. Hard to say who's going to take this. Again, Creator's really impressing me, but Solar, really graceful teching and switching and kind of adapting to what was a pretty turbulent game there from Creator.
All right, Cosmic Sapphire now loading up. This set tied 1-1. Who will take map number 3?
All right, guys, we're ready to go into this next map and decide who's going to take the lead here in this best of 5. Creator vs. Solar continues on.
Start. Protoss, Creator. Solar.
You know, I had a feeling coming into today that this was going to be the highlight match of day 1 here at Super Tournament, but this has kind of blown away my expectations.
You were right, man.
You
got to trust your feelings.
It's been so much fun. I mean, Classic kind of showed a little bit more strength. Like on paper, yeah, he did get 3-0'd, but let's be real, he's up against like arguably the best player in the world.
Yeah, Maru is
not like
pretty godlike, man.
Top 2, top 3.
So let's see if my theory's right that he's going to go for another Robo. Maybe in the Disruptor, maybe not. But we have a couple best of 5s where this is the theme, is that everything sort of looks the same. And so, you know, anything you learn from the last game doesn't help unless you can guess all the different, you know, build order trees that are available.
And I like the way that you talked about how Solar really played that gracefully there in game number 2, because, I mean, we can see everything as the observers, the casters, the people at home watching. We have complete information about everything that's happening in the game. And even we are surprised by the tech transitions that are happening. We're surprised by the amount of Phoenixes that are being made. And Solar is kind of navigating this in the dark and trying to figure it out as the game goes along.
And you know what? If I could just jump in, I mean, I bet if he had scouted that just a little bit later and he made the mutas, I think Creator wins.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he scouted that right before the mutas would have started, and that's what he was going to make, by the way, guys. It was going to be mutas coming in there.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that. Unless he had, like, some sick insight where he knows that Creator is, you know, prone to doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, just through experience of playing him or through rumors from other pros.
But it feels like the kind of thing that would be a muta switch because, I mean, like, there is a Warp Prism on the map, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or at least they're going to make some number of Corruptors deal with the Warp Prism, and you still might get blindsided by a lot of Phoenixes coming out, so it's going to be a Stargate.
Okay, never mind. He's going to be going for the more traditional tech here.
Yeah, I was on the same page with you that we might see the Robo yet again, and maybe we'll see like a Twilight transition, or we'll see something kind of similar to game number 1, where maybe he will even like build a Colossus, but he'll take a third base behind it, and then eventually go for a later push. But instead, Creator just going to mix it up a little bit here. Go for that Stargate now on 2 bases, but go and be straight into Void Ray. Okay.
So it might be a slower game here. We'll see if he makes multiple Stargates as well.
Ooh, able to get a drone. It's a nice little pickoff right there. So this Adept continues to poke and prod over here in the natural expansion. Scouts kind of everything here for Solar is about as standard as it gets. Low number of lings. Normal third base timing, and Solar coming in will also be able to scout this Void Ray. So a little bit different from game number 1 and game 2. It's whereas kind of both players really have a very good idea of what's going on right now.
Yeah, so far it's been a pretty transparent game. And he even saw the Oracle being made after that, which is probably one of the other final insights that tells you, what kind of game this is going to be, at least to start.
Nexus now coming down for Creator. That Void Ray and Oracle will be able to protect this. And yeah, a little bit more of a standard game here. For our Protoss players, second gateway going down. Man, I'm still kind of reeling a little bit from game 1 and game 2.
Well, it's been such, honestly, it's been like a real experience casting this best of 5 so far, because it's been so different and so out there. But, Creator may just try to switch back into something a little bit more normal. I mean, there's also the fact that if you just do enough weird stuff every game, even if they don't know what's coming, they know it's not going to be normal.
Yeah.
So it becomes more of you're just sort of guessing.
It's a very good point.
What do you have up your sleeve where, if you could also keep that in their mind that you can play a straight-up game, you can macro. By the way, was that a second or a third Stargate?
Second Stargate coming down.
Second Stargate, okay.
For a second, I was thinking we might see, Oracle and a Blinkstalker, which has proven very successful this year in PvZ.
That's the big hero play, right? Was kind of to approach the matchup so differently.
2 Adepts with no lings here, but not really getting that many drones. With 3 going down, as there's a lot of Queens. But not a very bad trade there for Creator. As Void Ray production continues here. As opposed to the Oracle, so right now 2 Void Rays going on 3. For Creator, and now adding a robotics facility, so really tech-heavy play here.
Yeah, and with the other Void Ray coming here, and it's like a delayed Void Ray pump. Usually, if you're going to go for a bunch of Void Rays, it's like you come out right at the start, and you just sort of, you maybe hide, how do I say this? Hide all of them but the first one.
Right.
But here, it's like he went and even got the Oracle, and then quietly went back, got air weapons. By the way, the core's at the entrance, right?
I think it is. Yeah, it should be.
So it should be, right? That would only make sense with the way you develop. So the only way to really figure out that he's actually going for Stargate and not just Void Ray, well, I guess it doesn't matter now because he's going to show it.
Really wants the Overseer to stay alive.
Yeah. So I don't know how I feel about this one.
Yeah,
this is a little bit of a later powering Stargate build. I thought he was going to hide it, and then the second one came out.
Yeah, this is really the kind of build where you're just kind of trying to snowball the strongest possible army composition, and actually going to be Immortal. Man, this almost feels like a Wings of Liberty game when the Void Ray Immortal comp.
No, it feels like we're in the wrong version of the game right now.
And Solar is going for Aspire yet again as a response to this.
And
but I'm not sure if he knows. Okay, yeah, he does know now. If he didn't know already, he does know now. It's a ton of Void Rays.
Yeah, I was wondering something like maybe he wanted to make it look like he did make a second Void Ray and has a Stargate, but doesn't necessarily have more. Like maybe he's pocketing more.
Exactly.
But, and look, I understand the power of this build. The thing that always makes me a little bit uncomfortable when I watch Protosses do it is that you don't really have a lot of opportunities to be active.
Right.
And I feel like Zerg are just, a really good Zerg player kind of knows how to just maintain growth. And they need to be interfered with. They need to be messed with. And, you know, this is one of these games where it's like, man, are you sure you're going to get ahead of Solar here? I know that the strength of the build as well is that Zerg can't really interact with the Protoss either, but I feel like I've casted way more games of Zerg winning versus this than losing.
I actually can't believe that Solar is going for Mutalisk here. I'm a little baffled by this choice. You know there's 2 Stargate Phoenix, you know he's getting air weapons, but this is going to be the tech of choice here for Solar as he's going to come in. We'll see right now how much damage he's able to get done. Phoenixes are in production, immediately takes down the battery, and he's adding to the Mutalisk count, so he just wants to fully commit to this air tech. But I feel like he hasn't really gotten that much damage done. I mean, if you're going to go Mutalisk like this, you kind of want to get a lot of probes with the first flood, right?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, frankly, this is something that I'm not very familiar with here in this matchup, but it does really nullify kind of the ground army and Robotech here for Creator, so Solar does have that in his advantage, but we are going to have a proper air battle here. Corruptor's now entering the field for Solar, and the 3rd Stargate, more shield batteries, and Phoenix is coming out for Creator. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, State. Like, I don't know about the Mutas. It just seems like it's probably the unit you don't want to have.
Yeah, I feel like if he had a little bit more vision and he knew exactly how far away those Corruptors were, he would have tried to pounce on those Mutas a little bit harder, because he could have gotten so many of them.
But
once,
I guess now he could just go for Corruptors, ultimately win the air fight, and then ooze down all the buildings. We could end up seeing the same ending.
Yeah.
But the way we got there was a very different path.
Yeah, it is a little, it's a little interesting, but I mean, keep in mind that Phoenixes, once they get +1 and +2 air weapons, are very scary, even against Corruptors. I mean, they have 2 attacks, so those upgrades scale really well, but you gotta be really careful. You wanna snowball them. You don't wanna bleed out Phoenixes, as we're seeing here. That Phoenix count getting reset, and Creator going into carriers as well, so not gonna be many more Phoenixes on the field.
Man,
and man, this is
a lot
a
of lings,
huge
dude.
Ling flood. All right, yeah, I'm starting to get a good idea of what Solar is going for here, and I'm starting to like it.
Solar's doing, yeah.
Yeah, this is scary.
And it doesn't seem like there's any one spot that can hold off everything, right?
A nice disruptor hit gets all of the roaches, but the Lings are the real story right now is they're flooding in, and there isn't a lot of ground army here for Creator.
I mean, he's losing a lot of key tech over here.
But he is able to hang on just a little bit. Corruptor's coming in now. Will the carriers be able to stay alive? That's a lot of air here for Zerg. I mean, the Lings did get cleaned up without killing a lot of probes, but the air count got completely reset here for Creator, and that's the major takeaway from this fight.
I mean, Zerg is, I believe, is pumping a lot more Zerglings back here.
Yeah.
And there was so many key tech units that were killed back there. You know, there was like carriers, Void Rays, Phoenixes, all of which are coming out of, I think, 2 or maybe 3 Stargates.
Yeah, he's down to 1 carrier now. That's all he's got in the air.
And Lings are going to fare, I think, pretty well here, especially if the Mutas can snipe the Disruptor. Everything else is kind of not too great. Now, it looks like, unfortunately, for Solar's sake, he has the Lings with the Disruptors while the Corruptors are over here where the...
oh, no. 2 Void Rays just got rallied into the air ball.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's really tough. And I mean, keep in mind this fight, these are not stalkers with Link, they're not stalkers with +1 ground weapons.
Yeah,
these are basic stalkers. So this is a much worse trade for Protoss than it normally would be here in the mid game. He doesn't want to have a ground army, he wants to have air army, but...
oh, another carrier goes down.
Yeah, Solar is continuing to control the air battle.
And he's just sniping all these important units. Now, he's still making Lings, he's still making Mutas, but it's the big air fleet that was reset.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't see Archons being made here. I don't see things that actually directly combat the Mutas. And he's kind of just running around and punching holes wherever he sees that he can get away with.
Yeah, Solar's army is so much more mobile. I mean, from Creator's perspective as the Protoss, you need to hold off that first push without losing a lot of key units. Otherwise, this is the situation where not only is your army not able to splinter off and handle different positions defensively, but also it's just straight up worse in a fight. I mean, again, these are gateway units with no upgrades. Creator's invested so much into Flux Veins, into Phoenix range, into +2 air weapons, and he only has 5 Phoenixes on the field, so it's a really tough spot for him as Solar just continues to take these battles.
Oh, God. I think we're almost to the end here. There it is, GG. Solar takes game 3.
Yeah, Creator
with a fist slam to the desk, if you saw back there.
Not happy with that one.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a frustrating game. I mean, you gotta play that one perfectly and defend that first push very well if you're gonna have a chance. But
I just don't really like that style. I mean, I don't. Who am I to say what you should or shouldn't do? But we see this a lot of times where it's such a passive approach, right? That it just kind of lets the Zerg figure out the solutions. You're not really engaged with them when you do that.
Yeah, I'm also not a big fan of that style because for me, from my perspective, the Protoss, yeah, they are building a very powerful army composition, but it feels like the entire game they're kind of like hanging on a knife's edge. Where if
they desk again back there, did you hear that?
Is that what that was?
I think so. Sorry, what were you saying?
But it feels like Protoss is really kind of playing the game on a knife's edge, and if they at any point get checked where they lose their air units or they get caught out of position and lose a lot of eco, they're just in a ton of trouble. I mean, you have to play it perfectly to unlock the maximum potential from that. Whereas if you go for something more akin to, the Oracle Blinkstalker play that is gaining in popularity here in Korea and around the world, it's a lot more flexible, I mean, say you get caught in a position a little bit, okay, you have Oracles to protect your Stalkers. Say, like, there's a big counterattack, okay, like, you can warp in a ground army that's actually effective. You have Blinkstalkers, you have +1, you have +2, and again, you have those Oracles to defend. Whereas we saw Solar come in with one push, huge flood of Lings. Creator had to commit everything to defending that fourth base, and as a result, he was able to defend, but at what cost? He loses all of his air units.
It's this crazy, like, high wire act to get to where you need to be.
Yeah.
And, when we started to see those Stargate units fall, like...
That's it, because...
You've invested all of your income into those units and the upgrades that come with them. And that game ended with an army that might have, at a first glance, looked pretty healthy for the Protoss. It wasn't upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
They were all basic, Tier 1 units, and it was an easy win. By the way, let's not forget, Creator did lose to Solar at DreamHack, and so it seems like he came in here with some cool new ideas for the first two games, and one of them worked. But, how many ideas can you come up with in that short period of time? I wonder if that's really what we're seeing happen here now.
Yeah,
and
that might be it.
Yeah, and so now we're further along now in the best of 5, and we're seeing that maybe Creator doesn't have anything that's like, unless it's hyper deceptive, like the greatest magic trick he can possibly pull off to trick him. You're kind of back into a normal game against Solar, where Solar sort of just outdoes you.
Yeah, and it feels like Creator has been one of the Protoss players that's a little bit more averse to kind of picking up on that Stalker Oracle style. We don't see it from him very often.
I think I've seen him do it once.
Yeah.
I can't even remember if it won off the top of my head, but he seems to have a very different approach to the game in general. Now, we also saw him hit the desk. Now, this matters because Creator has punched the desk before. He's the most emotional player we've got here in the GSL. And
I haven't quite seen an outburst of the scale from him. It's,
I'm used to it now. I'm unfazed right now. But, when we see him like that, he tends to then die out.
Right. It's not...
I hope he doesn't, but,
It's not really the mental state you want to be in. You want to be kind of calm and collected coming in. It's one of the reasons why a lot of players, when they come here to the studio, it's kind of tough for them to make that adjustment because you're playing in front of a live audience. You're not in a booth.
Jarring,
you're right up there. And, I mean, even people that have tournament experience, it's just a very different environment. Whereas, these seasoned GSL veterans, it's just another day in the office to them, right? I mean,
totally relaxed.
We'll see Maru, like, even when he loses, he's like laughing about it, he's smiling, he's
totally
chill.
Totally indifferent, yeah.
And you kind of need to have that collected mentality to really approach the game well, because if you're angry or if you're frustrated, you're not going to be making the best choices. I mean, you might be able to try and channel some of that.
An outburst, and then you're sort of like, okay, now you're in like the next game finally, and you're sort of in your own head, like
exactly.
It's that flood of adrenaline, all that.
Like, for me, my perspective, I mean, if I was Solar, if I see that outburst, I'm like, okay, I've won. Like,
you're like, okay.
They've mentally checked out. And, like, I understand that Creator's a very emotional player, and I love how passionate he is, but it's a little tough from a competitive side of it, because you just know that he's going to be entering this game in not the best mental state. He's going to be frustrated, and we're not going to see him play to the potential that we know he has. I mean, Game 1 was incredible. The way that he continuously threw out deceptive information and manipulated Solar and came through with this tremendous build, tremendous timing. Game 2 as well. I mean, he played it really well. He eventually lost out in the end. I mean, from my perspective, he has no reason to be down on himself, but well, we'll see if he's able to collect himself here for game number 4. It is match point. Solar up 2-1 against Creator as we go on to Data C.
Protoss, Creator. Zerg, Solar.
So this is really the big final test here for Creator for the year. I mean, this is, you know, I mean, obviously we're going to be back in 2023 here, but the reality is, you know, we're kind of closing out the years, the games of the year here, especially in the studio, right? This is it. Yeah. Our last tournament before we start 2023. And look, it's I don't know, it's as it's been before, right? I mean, he's raging now. He had some of the most brilliant play we've ever seen in that game 1, right?
It was so much fun to watch.
It was so fun. And, you know, game 2 was actually really cool. Like, I really would like to go back and look at that game and kind of see what his thoughts were. And there's so much you could learn from him. But ultimately, he's got that ghost that's been following him, right? That he's, you know, he's raging, right? You know, this reminds me a little bit of Idra, although Idra didn't, you know, punch the desk as much. I mean, he would be mad, but it wasn't that type of raging. But it's these types of players that when the game doesn't, not even the game, when the whole series or whole tournament doesn't go perfectly, they kind of melt down.
I think this pylon is misplaced, by the way.
Where?
If I'm not mistaken, here at the Natural. I'm just looking at the SimCity, and maybe I'm wrong, but can you fit like a 3x3 structure to plug this wall? What if I don't know. Another shot of it?
Well, I mean,
sorry to derail you.
No, you're fine. But I've seen players where it's like everything has to go exactly perfectly. And if they're able to hit all those marks, almost like you're in a rhythm game, yeah, that doesn't look right.
It doesn't look right.
Yeah, that does not look like it. Well, here's the thing. We're going to know because Solar would punish it, although he might second-guess himself looking at it. It's also possible we're just seeing this wrong. Sometimes placement at StarCraft can be confusing.
Yeah, a little bit, but
yeah,
I love what you're saying there about
it's
Idra.
like a rhythm game. Like, they got to hit every single note. And if they don't, it's almost like they fall off entirely, you know?
Yeah, it's... I don't really know what to make of it because, I mean, I was on a team with Creator for about a year. We were on Prime together, and even in practice back then, he never really would get to that level of frustration. It feels like it's something that's kind of grown over time.
Oh, really?
With him.
It's like a plaque that's built up.
Maybe. I mean, maybe I'm misremembering. I mean, that was 5-6 years ago, but it's just, it's tough to watch for exactly the reason that you said. I mean, this is the kind of player that, like, game 1 was beautiful. Game 2, he absolutely had a shot to win. I mean, he's one of the best Protoss players in Korea, bar none. And so for him to kind of get inside his own head like this, it's just, I love how passionate he is, but it feels like it's kind of channeling it the wrong way because this is somebody that is so capable.
You were right, by the way.
So capable of growing and reaching his potential and maybe even eventually becoming a GSL Codes champion. I mean, we almost saw that from him this year.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it hurts a little bit, you know? I mean, I understand how competitive he is and how fiery he is, but I know how good he is as a player, and I feel like this is almost him limiting himself, you know? And I'm a fan of Creator. I want to see him succeed.
Yeah, same here. I want to be clear with everybody, too. Like, I'm rooting for the guy.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Oh, that hurts.
So, we've had 2 consecutive, to be honest, pretty catastrophic moments in this game.
Yeah.
The first one was the pylon, which we were, like, almost not sure if we were seeing this correctly. Like, did he do it? Second one is he lost the Oracle. Now, this game's been on for a little bit over 4 minutes. So, I mean, that's not a lot of time to have 2 pretty big mistakes. Now, the pylon one, it's not like one that's going to hold him back, but it is sort of a embarrassing moment. You know what I'm saying?
It throws you off a little bit.
It throws you off, and you know that, you know, the commentators are going to mention it, the other pros are going to see it. And of course, losing the Oracle, just simply put, is bad. It's not forgivable early on. You really basically can't lose the Oracle. It's, you know, you don't It's not the end of the world, but it's certainly a blunder to drop it.
Yeah, it does make your defense a little bit worse off when you go for that third base.
Your harass is worse. It's hard to tag to know what's going on. I mean, you're basically just working with an incomplete toolkit.
That's a great way of saying it, but we're now going for that third Nexus, adding the robotics facility and sentries. We'll have that. Oh, actually, second Oracle. So, okay, he made 2 more after that first one died off. This should have caught a little bit out of position, but the Shade should save it. It barely got away. Solar now trying to hunt that down, I think. He knows it went to the Watchtower. Oh, wow, Creator's really smart. I like that recall there. Save the Adepts. Now adding more gateways, adding in Immortals. And I wonder if this is Creator lining up for a timing. Yeah, 2 more gateways, because we're not seeing a Twilight Council out from him yet. And also, having 4 sentries this early is kind of Creator kind of showing his hand in terms of trying to build up.
He's trying to accumulate energy there on those sentries while keeping them hidden away.
Yeah, but I feel like these kind of timing pushes, Solar's just historically been so good at stopping these. I mean, he's kind of similar to ByuN, like he's so good at fighting in the mid and the early game.
Yeah, he really is.
Like he's scary. I remember when I used to play like back in 2015, 2016. Oh wow, that is a huge stasis.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Nice pickup there for Creator. But I remember playing against him, and I would just get steamrolled like every single game by like Roach Link Ravager.
Pretty
so
cool.
good. Yeah, that's a lot of energy.
That was
though.
almost perfect. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I would say that's a net negative there for Creator. Like he kills a handful of lanes, but he needs this energy for this timing push. Like he doesn't have a lot of tech behind this. I don't think he has a Robo Bay. He doesn't have a Twilight Council. He's continuously adding more gateways. Like this is an all-in.
And all these little mistakes we've seen already, like little cuts. He's bleeding, and he knows that this push he has to actually win. I mean, he has to make this work. And the Immortal.
Okay.
Wait, okay. I was gonna say.
I thought that army was a little bit further away than it was.
Yeah.
That's the one Immortal with this army. Besides that, it's just these Gateway units and these Stargate units.
Okay, it's showtime. He's moving in.
Force fields.
2 queens isolated, 2 queens killed.
It's a good pickup there for Creator. Now coming in. Oh, doesn't get to isolate enough of these Roaches. Does get another Queen though, and that's going to make these Oracles and Void Ray a little bit more effective here. About 8 or 9 more force fields in the bag. Stasis does go off. Creator now, it does feel like he might be running a little bit out of steam. Only a couple of force fields left.
Yeah.
Solar with a lot of production underway.
I mean, it's so far so good, but you're totally right. It's the number of force fields that are remaining here that is becoming alarming. I think that's the last one.
Yeah, there may be 1 left, but we'll see. Solar just continuing to swarm in. More production coming out.
This Immortal's pretty well placed. Another warp in. He dives for the Immortal. Oh, sorry, the Warp Prism gets it.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a lot of trouble.
And I don't think he's got enough.
No, I don't think so
no matter
either.
what, I mean, he won't be. He has to warp in from home, basically. So
yeah, I mean,
this is not going to work.
Once you run out of force fields with an army like this that doesn't have a lot of high-tech units, you're kind of out of steam. And I mean, the Warp Prism went down as well. So right now, Creator has, I think, exactly what you see here on screen. He has 4 sentries and a handful of Stalkers. He's remaking an Immortal because he needs to survive.
Yeah.
And these Ravagers aren't going to have anti-air, but
this is where it tends to seesaw to the Zerg.
Yeah, there's not even a battery here. I mean, keep in mind, no Forge upgrades, no Robo Bay.
The same fight that the Protoss lost over the Zerg space, they can lose at the Protoss is third. It's not really that different. And again, you're short on force fields. You're short on any kind of, heavy amount of Robo tag. And so I think that is the end of the story here for Creator and GSL for this year.
Yeah, Solar now coming in. I mean, this army's so big. Creator might be able to stabilize, but no, that's going to be a GG. And that's a tough loss there for Creator. I mean, he had a great start to the series in Game 1 and Game 2, but Game 3 just didn't go his way. A couple of missteps, and maybe there in Game 4, the frustration kind of showing through as Creator didn't play his best game and just opted for an all-in attack, and Solar was able to take it down.
Man. Well, the story of GSL continues to go on chapter by chapter, and this one, it ends sadly here for Creator. Did not get the results he wanted, did not perform in the game the way he needed to, as far as improvements go, and has not mastered his emotions in a way that, is going to behoove him in a tournament setting, unfortunately. So we're going to go to an interview now with Solar, see how he's feeling. He's our 3rd player to survive into the round of 8. for the GSL Super Tournament.
In the third match of the Super Tournament round of 16, it is Solar coming out as the victorious player. Congratulations, thank you. So your Super Tournament Season 1 start was very good, very nice. How do you feel right now? I mean, this year I lost to every match against Creator, but today being able to take my revenge against him, it feels really relieving. I mean, that's right. In a head-to-head record, you're up against him, but for this year, it was Creator defeating you most of the times this year. So what was it that changed the recent momentum? At the beginning of the year, Creator made good preparation, and as for Zerg, the race itself, you know, you evolve and you improve as you get smashed upon. That's the kind of race it is. Today, everything looked immaculate for you, Solar, and it feels like your ZVP performance is looking very good. I mean, I feel like ZVP match is the easiest for me on offline stage. So apart from Hero, I'm confident against every other Pros player. So as long as it's not Hero, I don't really mind. Okay. The round of 8 opponent will be a Terran no matter what. It will be GuMiho or Special. So who do you prefer to play against? You know, both players they play a dirty game, so I don't really care who I go up against. So as long as I play well, I should be able to defeat either one of those two. So how's your ZVT going after you joined Onsite Gaming? After joining Onsite Gaming, I talked to the staff, I talked to the team owner, and the atmosphere is looking really good. And I feel like my results are way better than back when I was in Kaizi Gaming. Well, we look forward to watching your ZVT match then, Solar. I mean, ByuN was actually dissing you before in his interview. He said that he's not proud defeating you. He's not proud about defeating you, Solar, in the qualifiers. I mean, ByuN in DreamHack Atlanta, he got wasted in the first match, so I think he's a little bit infuriated. So, you know, if I go up against him in the Super Tournament, I should be easily able to defeat him. So, Solar, you've shown some beautiful performance today. So, anything else you want to say to the fans? Well, I'm really thankful to the fans for supporting me and my team. I'll try to win in the round of 8 and try to make it to the round of 4. Once again, Solar, congratulations on your win today. Thank you. And that's it for the third match of tonight. And now we only have one match left. It's going to be GuMiho versus Special. It's going to be a TVT match, so please make sure you tune in.